So your right hand for the main part of your backing track is going to go as follows. That's an A major, A, C sharp, E, C sharp, A, C sharp, F sharp minor, first inversion, A, C sharp, F sharp, A, back to A major. Then you're going from there to an A minor 7th, A, C, E, G, A, B, A, this is an E and a G, B, E, A, D, G sharp, B, G sharp, F sharp, E, and then you're back to here, the A major chord. So once all the way through, this is the loop for your right hand. And it just keeps on looping from there. With what I just showed you in the right hand, your left hand's going to be playing a series of 4 notes. They're all evenly spaced out. A, F sharp, F, E. Then you're back to A. That's your left hand for the backing track of this song. Putting together those 2 parts that I just showed you, you should get something like this for your main backing track. Now the cool thing about the progression that I just showed you is that it's really close to being a really poppy, simple progression. But what Pharrell does is he adds 2 special touches to it. You start in the A major chord, right? You're playing A down on the left hand. Then you go from there to the F sharp minor. He does switch it to the minor 7th, but that's not anything really special. Now here's the cool thing. Instead of going straight from there to the E major chord, which would be next in line in a poppy progression, what Pharrell does is instead of going straight to the E major, he goes in between with an F minor 7th, and he also adds the 9th. Get some nice dissonance between those 2. So he uses this chord as a passing one from here to here. Now the second cool trick that he does is that he doesn't stay with just a straight E major chord. He does make it a dominant 7th, which is E, G sharp, B, and then a flat 7th, which is the D. But he doesn't do it right away. It's not like he goes... What he does is he starts with the basic E major chord. Let's say you're playing E down on the left hand. And he brings in the 7th in that riff, later in the riff. So right now you're E major, E major, E major, E major, dominant 7th. And that gives it the push it needs to resolve back to the A. Just something to think about. Now you're going to hear a high synth line playing over the same right hand progression that I just showed you. That's going to go as follows on the right hand. C sharp, G sharp, E, C sharp, B, G, E, C, G, F, E, E, D, E, D, E, C sharp, and then you're back there again. It's going to go together with the same left hand progression that I showed you earlier. Putting the 2 parts together, you should get something like this for your synth line. notice that I played that little trill. It happens twice the second time through the loop. So every other time you play this twice. And you'll also notice that the left hand does seem a little high. I wanted to bring everything into one view so you could see how these two parts work together. You're going to want to put the left hand down an octave so it gives it that full feel. So that's how it should sound. Now your right hand for the bridge is going to go as follows. That's an A major 7th, A, C sharp, E, G sharp, F sharp, G sharp. That's an F sharp minor 7th, F sharp, A, C sharp, E, C sharp, E, G major 7th, G, B, D, F sharp, A dominant 7th, G, A, C sharp, E, D, F minor 7th, F, A, C, E, D, E, B diminished, F, B, D, A, G, that's an E minor 7th, E, G, B, D. And then after you play this chord, there's some glissando, and that's basically just throwing your hand over the keys and just giving it an accent. That's a really bad glissando. But yeah, it's optional, not necessarily a critical part of the chord progression, just something to give it some flair. So once through the basic version of this is going to sound as follows. Now the second time, every other time you play that riff, the second half of it is going to switch up. When you get here, the F minor 7th, you're going to play the second time through. You're going to play an F major chord right there, F, A, C. Then you're going to go from there to a C major 7th chord in its second inversion, G, B, C, E, D, E, E minor chord, E, G, B. So once all the way through your bridge, your right hand is going to sound like this. With the right hand that I just showed you, you should get something like this in the left hand. B, F sharp, excuse me. Now with the right hand that I just showed you, you're going to be playing this in the left hand. F sharp, B, E, A, D, G, C. And that just keeps looping. Putting together those two parts that I just showed you, you should get something like this for your bridge. That's your bridge. If you'll indulge me for a minute, I want to break down in further detail what Pharrell does on this bridge. I have a lot of people asking for tips on writing some original songs, and here's some tricks that'll help you get there. So what Pharrell does essentially in this bridge is he's using what jazz musicians call the 2-5 turnaround, right? That's where you take the minor 7th chord of the second tone in your scale. So let's just say, for example, that we're in E, right? Let's just say, for example, that we're in E. So the minor 7th of the second tone would be and F sharp minor 7th. Then from there, the 5, you're going to play a dominant 5th chord, so if we're still in E, assuming, that would be a B dominant 7th. First chord, F sharp minor 7th, F sharp A, C sharp E, B dominant 7th, F sharp A, B, D sharp. Now just keep that in mind. And then from there, when you get to the 5th, it's supposed to resolve down to the root of your scale. Like I said before, we're in E. The natural tendency of a dominant 5th chord is to resolve to the note that's a 5th down from it. So if I'm playing a dominant 5th chord in B, or a dominant 7th chord based off of a B, my natural tendency is to resolve from there to there. With that in mind, what Pharrell does on this bridge is actually another really common technique in jazz. He takes the 2-5 progression and just loops it and pushes it down the keyboard, if that makes sense. You're going to start here, remember from before, with an A major 7th above an F sharp, right? You're going to want to think of this as an adjusted F sharp minor 7th with an added 9th up here for some dissonance, right? Really filled out, really full chord. From there, you're going to go to here. Now, while this is an F sharp minor 7th above a B, you're going to want to think of it as the dominant B chord, a B dominant 7th, because what he does is he gets this A in here. This A is crucial. That's what's providing it the push to get it down to here, right? See how there's that natural kind of push to get it there? Now what Pharrell does is he does make the next chord based on an E, but he doesn't make it the major chord that you're expecting. What he does is he loops the progression. If he's going to loop this progression, you're going to want to make the next chord an adjusted E minor 7th. See where I'm going with this? You have the same chord structure as before, with that added 9th for dissonance. In this case, it's the F sharp. So then if this is this minor 7th chord, to go to a dominant 5th chord, that's going to be A, down here, based off of G, A, C sharp, and E. Now the natural tendency of this chord, if this is our 2nd and this is our 5th, the 5th is going to want to resolve to a note 5 whole steps down below it, or a major 5th below it, excuse me. So it's going to want to naturally resolve down to this D, right? That's where it wants to resolve, but again, Pharrell takes it, what should be a major 7th chord or just a basic major triad, and changes it to minor 7th with the added 9th for dissonance. Goes from there, dominant 5th chord, dominant, based on the 5th tone, dominant 7th chord, and then he finally does resolve it down to a major 7th chord. So if you want to think of it, this is how it goes. Minor 7th chord, dominant 7th chord, minor 7th chord, dominant 7th chord, minor 7th, dominant 7th chord, and then you get down to the major chord at the end of it all. But yeah, that's the Punch Drunk Love remix by Common and Pharrell.